welcome to another episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. Folks, it's our job to give you the most interesting bits in real sports, entertainment, odd news, and whatever else we happen to stumble across in this hour-long podcast. My name is Rich Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we are here to give you all those tidbits in sports, entertainment, and odd news, and provide you the perfect meal for your mind. That is the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We're back in person this week after a little bit of Thanksgiving hoopla last week. So, Mikey, how was your Thanksgiving? We were away, but we still did a crispy, compact communique.
Yeah, we were away, but we always managed to get some kind of episode out. Thanksgiving was wild. I go to my girlfriend's family's Thanksgiving, and they know how to do Thanksgiving right. The amount of food was shocking. So they don't just do turkey as their main protein. I think you would appreciate this, Rich. They had turkey, but they also had ham.
Ooh.
They had filet.
Whoa,
and
filet.
they had salmon stuffed with crab meat.
Whoa!
And those are the four main proteins. Then you have two types of stuffing, one with sausage, one with mushrooms, two types of mac and cheese, one gluten-free, one not. You got mashed potatoes, you got collard greens, you got green beans, you got carrots, you got sweet potatoes, you got a lettuce salad, you got rolls, biscuits, and cornbread, because one type of bread isn't enough.
No, we got to have more.
And it was just, and then I won't even get into the dessert. There was like 5 different types of cake and pie. It was amazing.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
Woo!
That's what my stomach was feeling afterwards, because it was,
lots of nastiness.
I love Thanksgiving, though. It is literally just carbs.
I know.
I could literally just get rid of the turkey and just have nothing but stuffing and mashed potatoes.
I could do nothing but sweet potato casserole.
Oh, so
oh
good.
my gosh, I would eat sweet potato casserole. Even like I'll get a big tub of it from Wawa or something. I had a couple of tubs of the Wawa sweet potato casserole.
Nice,
more than I probably should have had.
That's what I got to do. I still do they still have the gobbler? I
believe so.
I still have not gotten my gobbler this year.
Yeah, you got to change that. You got to have your gobbler.
I've been slacking, man. I've been slacking.
Yep.
But anyway, so my Thanksgiving was awesome. I got a chance to see Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, but we'll get to that in the entertainment entree. Rich, how were you over Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving good for me as well.
Lots of good food.
I definitely had the food. Yeah, just I love Thanksgiving. It's perfect. You watch your first game of football. You have your appetizers. You watch the next game of football. You have dinner.
Yep.
You come back. You have another round of dinner. You watch the third game. You have desserts. Then you go back and have whatever you want. It's the perfect holiday.
It's just nonstop eating.
Yes.
We got to
and football.
We got to my girlfriend's parents' house at like early in the afternoon, and before you have dinner, they have like snacks and stuff. They have like Jamaican beef patties and like just chips and dip and stuff like that. So we're just eating that stuff for like 2 hours, and then dinner comes out, and then you got all dinner, and it's just nonstop eating, just constantly. It's amazing.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I don't know. I love Thanksgiving. I can't believe people think that Thanksgiving is an expendable holiday. Like, nope.
I don't think it's expendable, and it's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah. It should be its own holiday.
It should be.
I don't like it when people are instantly like Black Friday. Oh, okay, it's Christmas. Like, no.
No, see, this is my girlfriend's family does it right. They do, how like us Italians, we do like Christmas is like a whole big long prolonged thing.
Yes.
Right? So for my girlfriend's family, it's that with Thanksgiving. So we get together the day before Thanksgiving, and we have some kind of dinner because all of her family's coming in from out of town.
Yeah.
Then we have Thanksgiving. And then the day after, we came to my parents, and we had, leftovers there as well. So it was like a 3-day event of just Thanksgiving food, like nonstop. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Respect Thanksgiving. It is not
respect it.
It is not Christmas part 1. No. It is its own holiday.
Its own thing. It deserves its own moment in the spotlight.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I think we were able to honor that tradition. But I know
some people it's not for some people.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I don't know.
Yeah. but
let me ask you a very important question.
Yes.
About dessert. You like sweet potato casserole, but what's your favorite type of dessert? Do you do sweet potato pie as well? Do you do
No,
sweet potato casserole and sweet potato
I
pie?
want the sweet potato in the casserole,
Okay.
and that fulfills my sweet potato
Quota.
quotient.
Okay.
Yeah, I want that in the casserole. In terms of dessert, pumpkin pie is pretty good.
I'm a classic pumpkin pie, but my girlfriend's family doesn't do pumpkin pie. They do sweet potato pie.
Oh, okay.
Which was the first time I've ever had sweet potato pie.
Okay.
It's really good. I mean,
Yeah, it's
if
still
you like,
good.
Yeah, if you like sweet potatoes.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, still good.
Yeah.
But I would prefer that to be in the casserole with the marshmallow or some sort of
Because
cream top.
As I'm eating the sweet potato, I'm like, I already had this once tonight.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweet potato, like you had the candied sweet potatoes and then the sweet potato pie.
And you don't want to double up on something, because there's so many foods to go through.
Right.
You don't want to double up on.
Now, are you the type of person to get a little bit of everything, or do you focus on like only certain types of foods?
Well, I mean, I focus on the things that I want.
Right. But do you
You know.
try at least a little bit of everything?
I'll try something. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But if there's something I want, I want it.
You go back for seconds.
Yeah.
Another very important question: stuffing, sausage in or no?
Either or, but I don't see why not. If you
Right.
have sausage,
I don't
put
know
it
why
in.
I'm so
Why not?
interested in talking about Thanksgiving
Yeah.
food. It was because all I've been eating for about a week straight.
Yeah, is nothing but
Is
so,
nothing but
all
Thanksgiving
right, so
food.
I will say this.
Okay.
Maybe this might be the part you might not like, but I will say by like Saturday, I was like, all right, I'm turkeyed out. I've had enough. Like I needed just something. I needed something new on the plate. Like
Yeah. So you know what? On Saturday,
because it's like. I think so. Here's what I did. Wednesday, I got a gobbler because I was
Okay.
like, I gotta get in Thanksgiving spirit.
right.
So I went to Wawa.
You're pre-gaming Thanksgiving.
Right. So I got my my turkey gobbler. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Friday was like the leftovers.
So that's 3 straight days. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then
That's
like,
a lot of Thanksgiving
Yeah,
food.
and then by Saturday, I'm like, okay, I can't eat another turkey. I need something new.
Yeah, Saturday I had my last bit of leftovers. Then that evening we ordered in salad and pizza because we were like we need something
You
that's
gotta-
not.
at that point. You need something
Yeah.
to break it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, there you go. Our official Thanksgiving wrap up. Why not?
I could talk about Thanksgiving all night long.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we do here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Again, one of those topics that we did not plan for, but we go off. Why not?
Yep.
But
But we do have a lot of news to get to, though.
Yeah, we should probably head to the news because there is a lot to cover. So let's launch into the first batch of news. It revolves around sports. It is time for the Sports Sampler.
So you're not good at sports. It's a very small part of life.
Sports. In your face. Ha ha!
Yep, sports coming at you in your face. And the Eagles are back in action. And gotta say, they pulled off a close victory against those annoying Green Bay Packers.
Mamma mia!
Boobies.
What, this guy think he's an Indian?
Like such as?
Yes, the Eagles pulled off somewhat of a close win. I mean, it could have got dicey there in the fourth quarter. A high-scoring game, 40-33. This was a little bit of a fearful Sunday night game. I know the Packers are one of those teams you just don't know what to expect, and especially this year with Aaron Rodgers, him dealing with a severe thumb injury and him kind of having a really bad down year compared to his 2 MVP seasons. We didn't really know what to expect going into this game. And then the game happened, and we still didn't know what to expect because the Eagles went up by 2 touchdowns, and then they fell back and were down in that first half.
It was a wild seesaw series of events.
Yeah.
Definitely not what I was expecting from this matchup. I know the Packers always give us some trouble, but I was watching this game and I'm like, man, these guys are like what 4-8 or 4-7 at the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be struggling this much. But this is something we've been talking about before the podcast.
So you got to be careful when you say stuff like that when it comes to records, especially when you're in the middle of the season, because at this point, if a team has that many losses, they're in desperation mode.
Yeah.
They are going to pull out every trick that they can. They're going to come up with any scheme.
And also,
you
sometimes
you cannot underestimate when a team is desperate.
Sometimes records are also misleading because a lot of these teams, they're losing, you could be losing games by like one score. A game can easily go one way or the other.
There was a season where I think it might have been the Vikings where they were like 4-8 or something, but like if they had just scored one more field goal on like 3 games, they would have been 7-4 or something. Yeah, you got to be careful when it comes to records. It doesn't always tell the whole story.
Yeah, but so when people say the Eagles have an easy schedule, any given Sunday, these teams are all tough teams. But the big takeaway from this game for me, because we were talking before the podcast about, everybody's a little worried, Eagles against running teams, and, we're starting to falter a little bit in the past couple of weeks. But I keep going back to the fact that we're beating teams in so many different ways. We're winning blowouts, we're winning close games, we're winning defensive games, we're winning offensive games. This past game, 73 total points scored, compared to Indy when it was a very low-scoring game.
Yeah.
So we're finding ways to beat teams, and we're adjusting no matter what the teams throw at us. We needed to score more points. We scored more points. We found a way to do it. Again, no, I'm serious.
You're following the Madden strategy. Usually the team with the most points wins.
But you know what? It shows a great deal of tenacity and flexibility and the ability to adjust and having a well-rounded team that you can go either way. You can win a defensive struggle or you can win the high-scoring affairs. You can come from behind or you can blow out an opponent. We're winning different ways. We're not just coasting through a whole bunch of games or like winning nail-biters all the time. It's every single one of them requires our team to do a little bit something different. We're rising to the occasion.
Far, yep.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like you might be more optimistic on this than I am.
Yeah, you were very negative coming out of this game.
I'm a little worried. I don't like the sloppy play that's been happening. That's kind of a concern for me. I feel like it's almost like ever since the bye week, they're getting more sloppy, and that's a worrisome trend, especially when we get later into the season and eventually to the playoffs. You cannot make these kind of mistakes, these penalties, these costly turnovers. They just kill you. I know A.J. Brown is trying to fight for every single yard he can get, but sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to go down. Just go down and end the play.
He's had 2 fumbles in 2 weeks, which is very unlike him.
That one, the one he had against the Packers on Sunday night, it completely turned the momentum the other way for the Packers.
Yeah.
Those kind of plays can kill you in the playoffs.
I will say, though, that when you compare this to a few weeks ago against the Commanders when we had, just a litany of turnovers and penalties and bad calls, I have seen improvements. A.J. Brown still had those bad fumbles, but it seems like they were addressing and correcting some of those issues from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're trending in the right direction. We still had a positive turnover differential this game, which is important.
Yep.
We got to the quarterback a couple of times. So I don't think it's nearly as doom and gloom as you make it out to be. I think that, yes, the play has not been like it was earlier, but I think that's more teams are now learning what to expect from us.
Yeah.
And they're playing to our level now, but we're still adjusting because the NFL is almost like a cat and mouse league, right? So
when we get to this part in the season and the latter part of the seasons, you kind of choose. You pick your poison. How do you want to? If you are going to get beat at the end or in the playoffs, how do you want to get beat? You know, and the good thing with the Eagles is that it seems like since they have such a multifaceted offense, it's a difficult decision for teams to try and pick.
Because, and I'm glad you brought that up because it transitions perfectly into this, 360 rushing yards against the Packers. Jalen Hurts breaking the Eagles' single-game rushing record for a quarterback.
He had, if I remember correctly, he had 150 rushing yards and 150 passing yards in the first half.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so like you
the
said,
running backs don't do that kind of numbers.
No,
ridiculous.
it's amazing, and like you just said, we can beat them many different ways because he ran for 157 yards, but he also threw for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so he's beating you with his legs and his arm, and he's taking the team on his back and doing what needs to be done. Really, really incredible performance from Jalen Hurts, though, in this game.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
We haven't done this segment in a couple weeks.
We have not.
very conveniently. So we need to ask the question.
You are not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy. I had a guy, but now I don't. You are not the guy.
Is Jalen Hurts the guy?
I want to say, though, I've said all year long, the only reason we continue to do so well is because I do this segment. And
Yes.
I trash on Hurts. Now, what have we not been doing the past couple of weeks?
We've not been trashing on Hurts.
Okay.
So what do we do?
So now,
Mike, I don't know. What do we do?
So
I'm lost.
here's what I'm going to say. Only 150 yards passing? This is a pass-first league. No, I mean, I'm serious. 5.5 yards on average per attempt. What is this? Backyard pitch and catch? I need to see more from Jalen Hurts in the passing game. Yeah, the legs are going, and yes, he can beat you with his arm, but why are we not passing as much as we used to? I think, are they afraid of him not being able to throw the ball? Is he not good at throwing the ball?
I actually am agreeing with you, and I'm kind of worried here a little bit, actually. This is actually a little bit of a concerning thing.
That started as a joke, but it's a real point.
Yes. Jalen Hurts, how about this? Do you know how many rushing attempts he has in the last 2 games?
I can see the ones from this game with 17 rushing attempts. That's a lot. That's like running back numbers.
He had 17 the week before.
Yeah.
He's up to 34 rushing attempts in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot for a quarterback. That's like running back numbers.
Yes. And this is where we got to bring out the old injury bug. We cannot have a similar fate like Carson Wentz happen to Jalen Hurts. I do admit I am a little worried. I think they are overusing him in the run game.
He's running a lot, and like Wentz, he does not. I mean, he's smart about sliding.
He's a little bit smarter.
He's a little bit smarter, but there were a couple times against the Packers where he's like, I'm just going to take this guy head on. He always wins those battles, like whether he trucks through them or jukes them out. I mean,
he does a great juke.
I mean, absolutely amazing in the running game, but.
But 17 times a game, and we've done this twice now.
That's a lot. That's a lot of runs.
Ooh, I don't know. If I was the offensive coordinator, I would definitely scale that down a little bit.
And I like the fact that he has that escapability and that competitiveness and that aggressiveness. But there's going to be at times where he needs to beat these teams with his arm from the pocket.
Yep.
There, some of these are more well-rounded. Tougher teams that are going to find a way to keep him in the pocket, and he has to be able to beat them from the pocket. He was doing it earlier. There was a span of time right before the bye week where I was on the verge of saying he's the guy. But then he got back to being a little skittish, and he takes off and he takes the game on his own shoulders, and he ends up winning it for us. But he's got to be able to hang in there in the pocket and throw as well.
You are not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy. I had a guy, but now I don't. You are not the guy.
Yeah, so we'll still have, I think we still have this segment, but I am worried.
I also think
I'm very worried.
I'm a little concerned as well, but I think a big factor is he does not have Dallas Goedert.
Yes, that's
think
been a big issue.
You can't mention these recent struggles and not talk about Dallas Goedert, because for the longest time, the Eagles went from Brent Selleck and Zach Ertz to Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Now we just have Dallas Goedert, and when he's down, we got nobody. I can't even tell you the other tight ends. It's like, what's his name? Is it Calcaterra? I don't even know who that is. He had 1 reception for -2 yards. I think he's a tight end. I don't actually know. We always had that double tight end thing going on, and right now we just have the one quality starting tight end and nobody behind him. So what?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that scenario. I heard a ridiculous rumor.
Okay.
Would you like to hear this?
Sure.
There was apparently it's got to be a Reddit, our Eagles rumor BS. But according to a user on Reddit, and it gained a little bit of traction, but I'm pretty sure nobody actually thought this was real. But the Eagles may have had a call with Rob Gronkowski. Would you be in favor of bringing Gronk to the Eagles? I don't see that ever happening.
It's not the first time we brought in a washed-up Patriots player to win a Super Bowl. Well, we did it with LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, that's right. LeGarrette Blount. He was good.
Let's go.
He knows how to win.
Let's go, guys. No, I mean, there's something to be said about caveman power. And that's exactly what Rob Gronkowski brings. That would be a great, solid check down safety valve for Hurts. And also, even when Dallas Goedert comes back, you can bring those 2 tight end sets back and really lean into the ground game.
Yeah, but I don't.
You think he's too washed?
No, I don't think he would come back. I think the only reason he would even think about coming back would be for Brady.
He only wants to play for Brady.
Yeah.
But maybe there's other tight ends, other options out there. I wouldn't mind us looking at a tight end because it's clear that Dallas Goedert may be the key difference in these recent weeks. Him and Jordan Davis and us not being able to stop the run.
Yeah.
Those 2 players have shifted the trajectory of the season. But again, going back to my initial point, we still find ways to win despite it all. That's the important part. So far.
And it's probably going to get harder as the biggest injury coming from this game. Gardner Johnson took a really bad hit in the middle of this game.
Lacerated kidney.
Oh, yep. Big safety. I think he leads the leagues in interceptions.
He does. He has 6 picks on the year.
So a big loss for the defense.
Yeah. But on the plus side, what's his name? Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, the rookie.
He stepped in, undrafted.
He had an interception.
Rookie. He had an interception. He led the team in tackles. So, it's going to be a little bit of growing pains with him there. I heard a rumor Malcolm Jenkins said he's not opposed to, coming back if we need him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. But we're really going to be tested in the next couple of weeks. Now, a lacerated kidney, it's, from what I understand, is not as bad as it sounds. Supposedly, it has a shorter healing time. Zach Ertz had one a few years ago, and he came back in, I think, 2 or 3 games. So we'll definitely get him back before the end of the season. But now we're missing Jordan Davis and Gardner Johnson on offense. We're still missing Dallas Goedert. So the injuries are starting to affect us in key positions. It couldn't have been a backup or like a special teamer. It had to be like all of our big-time starters.
Yeah. Also, another thing, too, special teams is atrocious.
Oh, it's awful. It's so bad.
Oh, my God.
It's so bad.
I mean, there were some really big kickoff returns in this game.
I saw a funny post that they should bring back J.J. Arthega-Whiteside just for a special teams play. That's how bad. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
And they could throw a sack of potatoes on the field and probably do better. At least trip up the returner.
Or how about, for just punts, just wherever it goes. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
Just wherever the ball bounces, it bounces.
Just like intentionally kick it out of bounds or kick it in the opposite direction of the returner or just blast it as far as you can, line drive it out the back of the end zone. Because if you even let them get their hands on it, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah. All right. So let's move to the next segment of the Sports Sampler during this time of football season where we're going to give you 4 games that we think you should keep an eye out for this upcoming weekend. And we'll give you our predictions on them. With the Fantastic Four picks. I was about to say 4-minute drill.
4 minutes. Every time it gains another minute.
No.
Then it's going to be the 5-minute drill, the 6-minute drill.
Yeah, no, this is the Fantastic Four picks with the special techno music. There we go. See, we didn't have the techno music last week, so I lost my cue. So there we go. Now we're back in full action.
All right, we're back in action, and we're going to kick things off with the most anticipated game of the season. I'm not kidding about that, even though these 2 teams suck. Watch these headlines. The Cleveland Browns are traveling to the Houston Texans. Why is this anticipated? Deshaun Watson comes back from his 11-game suspension just in time, coincidentally, to face off against his former team. This is a really big matchup. I know both these teams have losing records, but all eyes are on this game, Rich.
Yeah, this is a pure revenge game for Deshaun Watson, who I guess he still believes he's not guilty or whatever.
I heard that 10 of the victims will be in attendance in
awkward.
Houston. That is awkward.
I can't believe the NFL is allowing this to happen.
And specifically 11 games to come back just in time for this.
Yeah.
Right?
But I will say, Cleveland, they got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It's still the best 1-2 running back combo punch in the NFL. I'll take that any day over what Houston can muster up. So I think the Browns should be safe in this game, but part of me would love to see the Texans. I don't know. What was his name? Davis Mills? I don't even know
I don't even know if he's starting anymore. Davis Mills.
I would love for him to light it up. 500 passing yards. There you go. but I think the Browns take
it
this.
would be nice karmic retribution. I think the Browns have too much going for them. Well, there is something to be said, though, about just sticking a quarterback in that hasn't practiced with the team all year. You know?
Yeah, for the season. I mean, he was there for the preseason. He was allowed to practice with them in the preseason, but
he was away for 11 straight weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
is there going to be a little bit of rust there, timing issues? But I think that's where they just lean on Nick Chubb and they just hand it off.
Yeah. Nick Chubb.
Something, it kills me to say it, but I think the Browns are still going to win this one. But there's a little part of me like there should be a little bit of karmic retribution here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully the Texans can pull off a win, but logically it's probably going to be the Browns.
Yep.
Next up, though, these two teams are trying to stay alive in the NFC East. The Washington Commanders traveling to New York. Both of these teams, 7 wins on the year. They are struggling to stay out of last place in a loaded division. Rich, who are we going to have to watch out for more later in the season?
Man, I'm telling you, Washington.
Just imagine if we hadn't beat them the first time, too. They'd be even better.
Washington right now, you want to talk about a team that's just, they pull out wins, and you're just like, huh, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That's what Washington has been doing the last couple of weeks. They're playing tough and fierce and gritty, and, they are not a team to spit at right now. They, ever since they shredded Carson Wentz, it's like they've evolved into like a new team.
It's almost like there's a trend there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why Washington spent their resources to go after Wentz. Heineke seems like a capable quarterback to lead this team. This team actually rallies behind Heineke. They
like him. They like him.
Yeah. So, you know what? I know the Giants are slightly favored, but I kind of like the jeb of this Washington team. They are just playing with their hearts on their sleeve. They're doing these kind of tight wins. The defense is coming together. They're making some good stops. I like the cut of the jib on this team. And I don't know about the Giants. I know the Giants have a good record, and Saquon Barkley's having
they've lost 3 of their last 5. They are on a slide.
A little bit, yeah. I just don't know if I can trust Daniel Jones. I know this is so weird. I'd rather right now trust Taylor Heineke than Daniel Jones. Yeah, I like Washington.
This is a really, really close one. I'm looking at the spread here, 2.5. Actually, Washington slightly favored.
Oh, then that moved.
But essentially a toss-up. I'm seeing here the win predictor is like literally split 50-50.
Wow.
Very, very close.
That's interesting. All right, so the money came in on Washington then.
I guess people think
Uh-oh.
they're going to win. They're so evenly matched as well, but I kind of agree with you here that Washington...
Oh, I just realized this also falls into a stat that I read.
Which is?
That home underdogs against a division rival in the back half of the year...
I did see that, yeah.
...is only a 40% win percentage.
Well,
so
that would come into play
this
here.
Is another nod to Washington coming into town, being very familiar with a division rival. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, both these teams very evenly matched in terms of their offensive and defensive rankings. The one key difference is in the pass game. As you pointed out, Daniel Jones, the New York Giants ranked 29th in passing. Washington's not incredible, but way better at 18th. So with that being the only marked statistical difference, with it being a toss-up, go with the road team here for an upset against the home team.
Road favorite now.
Yeah, road favorite. So I don't know, very, very close. It's basically a coin flip.
Yeah.
This next one may also be a coin flip. This is going to be a tough one. An AFC playoff preview. The Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Cincinnati to face off against the Bengals. This should be a very interesting one. Rich, who do you have?
I still like the Chiefs. I know the Bengals are starting to turn things around. Boy, you want to talk about a storyline. I think the last game of the season, they faced the Ravens. Oh, that could be for the division right there.
That could be.
Because they're both kind of neck and neck there. But I think the Chiefs take care of business here. Patrick Mahomes, until I see a substantial flaw in his game. I find it very hard to root against or picking against the Chiefs. I think you got to give the nod here to the Chiefs.
So the Bengals really have turned it around recently. 4 of their last 5. The thing for me, though, is they're still Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon are still questionable.
Yeah.
And until they get those pieces back,
Jamar Chase especially.
That's
a rough loss.
But you know what? Even though I'm saying that, the Cincinnati Bengals they're going to be there at the end of the year. I like them at the beginning of the year. I still like them now. Offensive, defensively, in the top 10 in both sides of the football. Kansas City Chiefs, however, are even better than them, especially offensively, the top-ranked team in the league. I think the Kansas City Chiefs continue to dominate, but don't count out the Bengals later in the year.
No.
When they get those pieces back, they're going to be a force. So
that last game of the season, Bengals versus Ravens, could be a great playing game.
Oh, absolutely. But finally, we get to the Philadelphia Eagles playing host to the Tennessee Titans. This is the game we've all been worried about. Derrick Henry's going to kill us, yada, yada, yada. Rich.
Derrick Henry's going to kill us. I circled this one at the beginning of the season. This seems like the worst case scenario for the Eagles to go up against, because it all comes down to, can they stop Derrick Henry? And right now, without Jordan Davis, and it seems like they can't consistently shore up against the opposing run offenses. And Derrick Henry he's just a beast. I foresee him taking the ball. He's going to be the focal point. Now, if the Eagles do stop Derrick Henry, okay, now we're talking, because Ryan Tannehill has not been proven to be a guy you can rest the team on to come through with a win this season. But until I see Derrick Henry get stopped by this Eagles defense, I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is going to be the loss. This is one I circled that it was going to be a loss at the beginning of the season. I still think so. I think Titans win this one.
So, I'm going to follow up on that point about Ryan Tannehill, because that is the way to beat this team.
It is.
The last 2 losses that the Tennessee Titans had were against big passing teams in the Bengals and the Chiefs. We just talked about them. The Eagles, if they can throw the ball effectively against the Titans, can effectively remove Derrick Henry from the game, force them to play from behind. I think they can pull it off. I think the Eagles have a very, very good offense. They also have a very good defense.
I still think you got to stop Derrick Henry at some
point. They will sell out to stop Derrick Henry, force Ryan Tannehill to beat them with his arm, and those corners are going to feast against a passing team that is ranked 30th. So you stack the box, 8 guys, you force Tannehill to throw right in the arms of Big Play Slay, right in the arms of James Bradbury. Give it back to the offense, and just death by 1,000 cuts. Short screen passes as good as a run, just like Andy Reid used to say. I'm feeling positive about the Eagles here. I think that they have a chance.
Oh, all right. So there you go. A little bit of a difference there for our last pick, and that is our fantastic 4 picks for week number 13. We'll see. I hope the Eagles pull out that win. I think it's definitely possible. But, it's just going to be tough. Derrick Henry is a freak of nature.
I circled this as a loss as well at the beginning of the year. But they're 7-4. They're beatable. And I think the Eagles, like I said earlier, have that tenacity and that ability to win with any facet of the game. So you got to feel the positivity, man. Don't be such a downer.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I'm the downer this week.
You are.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm the pessimist this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I just that Packers game, I was screaming a lot.
I was more upset at the Texans game, honestly, than the Packers game. But
yeah, that was also frustrating too.
It's been a rough time, but just wait. We criticized Hurts this week, so we're gonna pull it back around.
All right, we'll see. And I messed up by saying 4-minute drill. No, it's time for our fresh segment, the 3-minute drill. I've got 3 minutes on the clock. Go. What is the topic we're going to talk about?
All right. Well, this week in the 3-minute drill, we have a little bit of controversy brewing maybe in the NFL. The NFL Players Association claimed that NFL teams are colluding to avoid fully guaranteed contracts. This is a little bit of a loaded accusation here. The NFLPA suggests that teams planned to prevent the use of fully guaranteed contracts for quote-unquote certain quarterbacks in the light of Deshaun Watson's 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal. Players had hoped that that deal would push contracts further, but it seems to have had the opposite effect because both Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson signed non-fully guaranteed contracts. We've talked about this often, about how the fully guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks, especially $200 million plus, is really hindering teams. Do you think that the NFLPA has any validity in these claims? Do you think teams are owners are colluding behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah. They're right on that fact. The other 30 owners were so pissed off at the Cleveland Browns for guaranteeing this kind of money to a questionable quarterback at best. I mean, you bet that those owners are livid, and they do not want to have a similar contract negotiation with their franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But in terms of what they can do to stop it, I don't know. I kind of feel like the owners, don't want to.
Is it collusion, or is it just everybody kind of coming to the same conclusion? Not collusion, but conclusion.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, am I taking the owner's side on this? Like, I don't know if it's wrong of them to do so.
So you know where I stand on the quarterback contracts. I think they're way too big. I think fully guaranteed money in the NFL is a risky thing unless they somehow change how the cap works and make it easier to sign other players. Because at the end of the day, these quarterback salaries are eating up a third of these team salaries. It's just way too much.
Aaron Rodgers is eating up a fourth of the salary cap for the Packers.
Yeah. And you need to look no further than Lamar Jackson's contract negotiations with the Ravens, because he wants fully guaranteed money and he wants more than Deshaun Watson.
Yep, and the Ravens aren't giving it to him.
And the Ravens aren't giving it to him because I think teams are realizing, hey, if we sell the farm, if we give all the capital to these quarterbacks, the Broncos just shot themselves in the foot with Russell Wilson, and he's not even fully guaranteed. If Deshaun Watson doesn't work out for the Browns, they're done too. The Packers are done. Pretty soon the Chiefs are going to be struggling as well to deal with Patrick Mahomes and $50 million a year. I think teams are slowly realizing the model might be to get those rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterback factory time for the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
Howie Roseman had a point.
Yep. there you go. Gotta get the...
That's the fans screaming in agony.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get the...
No, you guys know this is always one of my favorite topics.
Yes,
the fully guaranteed money.
Right,
you know whose fault it is?
Oh, here we go.
You know whose fault it is?
Here we go.
Kirk Cousins, that dirty scoundrel.
You dirty dog.
You dirty dog, you. Anyway.
Please tell us how. Yeah, again, do you want to go off on a little rant?
No, people know by now. I just hate him. He ruined everything.
You sure about you're good there?
I'm good.
What a shocker!
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Who would have guessed? Like, surprise! Like, Jesus Christ!
That's one of my better moments.
Yes,
I've had a lot of good moments, but that's one of the better ones.
That's the only time I think I've ever heard your voice like get close to mine. Yeah, like you really got angry at that one.
Who would have guessed? Like, surprise! Like, Jesus Christ!
I don't know what that was in response to.
That's way back from like one of our first episodes.
Oh man.
But there you go. Trip down memory lane to wrap up the sports sampler. And we needed that to officially launch us into the break. And man, I just love that. I love that clip. But you know what else we love? We love the second half of the show as well. We love the entertainment entree and the non-fortune cookie odd news on the rebound. Don't you dare think of turning this off. We still got plenty more podcasts coming at you. We'll be right back.
Ready for the weekend? Happy Friday. Hi, my name's Marie, and I'm an artist who's been making Happy Friday doodles every week for over 7 years. And now you can own my art collection. in this Volume 1 and Volume 2 art series. These doodles span across multiple themes, yearly festivities, various countries, languages, and more. Both coffee table books have something for everyone and are the perfect conversation starter or gift for a friend. Really, anyone who enjoys a good weekend. Available on Amazon, Ingram, BookBaby, Barnes & Noble, and more. Visit happyfridaydoodles.com/books and get your copies today. Let's celebrate the best day of the week. Happy Friday.
If you go to Taco Bell at 3 a.m, this is what you're going to get. Yeah,
That clip is already coming into play.
yes,
I love it.
already. So there you go.
Stop.
What happened?
The thing went on.
Well, how did that turn on? That was
I don't
weird.
know. The fart sound.
The fart sound turned Amazon on?
I think the fart sound turned on my Echo.
What the
I
hell?
don't know. It turned on.
What are you doing, Jeff Bezos? What are you into?
Basically, he's listening to fart sounds.
He's listening to our fart sounds. Oh my god.
I changed the trigger word to fart. I got to fart at it now. I don't know what happened.
That's really awkward. You're gonna have to. Excuse me.
Excuse me. How can I help you?
You may need some bowel.
Do you want me to automatically order you Pepto-Bismol? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm talking to it solely through farts now.
It actually, you fart into it.
Fart
and
once for yes and twice for no.
No. Actually, you fart into the device, and then
Yeah.
Amazon can determine what
you-
medicine you need.
Oh, right. Wow. That's next level right there. Or what you've been eating and what you want to reorder.
Oh.
I detect Cheetos. Would you like to subscribe?
Would you like a bulk order of
Bulk
Cheetos?
order. Ooh, yes, please.
Cheetos ordered.
Cheetos. That story took a turn.
Yeah.
Cheetos ordered.
Okay. All right. There you go. The latest from Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
It's amazing technology, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're back here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. All of the fun Eagles news and sports news right there. I realized just for a split second that, in the middle of everything going on, there is the World Cup happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I know
The U.S. is doing well, I think.
Well, they recently won a game against Iran, which was shocking. So props to America.
Okay.
But I gotta say, the U.S. soccer team had a game against Britain,
Right.
and the score was your worst case scenario.
Oh, my God. What was it? Like
It was
0-0 tie?
0-0.
Oh, my God. That's not right.
And you know what the worst part is? Is I decided to throw $5 on the USA because there was a promo on I think it was FanDuel.
So what happens if it's a 0-0 tie?
You lose.
What?
Yeah, get this. Because ties happen so much in soccer, it's a third option.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So you actually have to call
See,
if
again,
you think it's a tie.
Ties are the devil.
Yes. And
There's no reason because, see, even betting, even gambling's like, well, if they tie, you lose. It's right there. They're like, you lose. So a tie is just as bad as a loss. Just call it a loss.
Yeah, at this rate, both teams, they both should get a loss.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Yes.
I think if you suck so bad.
I said good day.
Absolutely. If you suck so bad that you can neither win nor lose outright, it should just be a loss.
Yeah, both teams should get a loss.
Both teams get a loss.
Yeah. Because in the sports betting world, ties happen so much, it does count as a loss. You do not get your money back.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
if gambling says it's a loss, then it's a loss.
Yeah. How about That's where it matters. My money.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Now, luckily, it was part of a promo on FanDuel, so I got my money back because it's like
a 0-0 tie. Could you imagine being a fan and sitting in that state? You just blew your whole paycheck to get tickets to Qatar.
Yeah, wow, wonderful Qatar.
Have you seen the tents that people are staying in? I saw a TikTok. They're staying in like luxury fan tents.
Luxury fan tents. That alone doesn't sound appealing.
And then you get to watch that? A 0-0 tie?
Yeah, get out of here. I'm sorry. The rest
the hell out of here.
The rest of the world is wrong. Soccer is not that interesting. I'm sorry. I can't get behind. I know. I'm just saying this after the Union just made it to the championship game and they lost in penalty kicks, but it's still just I can't.
I'm sure it's exciting for some because I know some people like football is boring. I disagree, but whatever. That's all. To each their own, but any sport that can end in a 0-0 tie, why even bother? Why did they even take the pitch?
Golf doesn't end in a tie.
Like,
there is a winner.
Could you imagine going and playing for 90 plus minutes, play your heart out? You're running across this massive, mile-long field, and you end in a 0-0 tie? I'd be furious.
Yeah.
If I were one of those players, I'd be furious.
Yeah. Just give us a loss. I'll give you a goal. How about that? This is stupid.
They need to make the field smaller. They need to add potholes or something to change it up.
Yeah.
Obstacle courses or there's not enough happens. There need to be 2 balls. Let's have 2 balls on the field.
There you go. Yeah. Let's see what happens with that.
Has any sport ever tried that?
Just add another ball.
Just add another ball. It sounds fun, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that could be something.
I've got balls of steel.
I feel like I just hit on something here because then it's well, do we defend or do we just try to attack with both balls at the same time?
Yeah.
Do we
go
try to
full-blown power play or do you go full defensive? Yeah.
Or you try to split your efforts? I feel like 2 balls would be interesting.
I've got balls of steel.
There you go. Might have to isolate that clip as well.
2 balls are...
And you know what? On that note, maybe we do need to move from the sports realm and go into our second main segment. It is time for the entertainment entree.
And now, the latest in movies.
The Simpson guy writes to movies. Dear Die Hard, you rock. Especially when that guy was on the roof.
Music.
I know what that is. That's music.
Video games.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Celebrities.
You really know Warren Beatty? Yes, I do. I took a leak next to him once at the Golden Globes.
And more.
You were the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
This is the entertainment entree.
All right, and we're going to start it off with the segment where Mike is going to let you know what you should keep an eye out for this upcoming weekend with new movies, TV, and video games with Mike's This Week in Entertainment. All right, Mikey, what do you got for the people?
All right, well, I have a question for you guys in movies. Are Hallmark Xmas movies not doing anything for you? How about checking out Violent Night? Not Silent Night, Violent Night in theaters this week. It's a fantasy, dark action comedy about a team of mercenaries who break into a wealthy family's compound on Christmas Eve to take the family hostage, but they're not prepared to face off against Santa Claus, played by David Harbour, who must step in to save the day. It's like
Santa McClane.
Santa McClane, basically. Look, it's got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dear God.
80%. Rich, you have to go see this movie.
Oh, my gosh.
80%. That's not bad. So go check it out. That's Violent Night hitting theaters this week. It's an R-rated Christmas action comedy.
Santa is back, and he's pissed off.
Ho, ho, ho.
There's got to be a reference to either Die Hard or Christmas Story in that movie.
Oh, there has to be.
There has to be.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Next up, in video games, it's a big week for video games. There's some major releases that are dropping right before the holidays. First up, Marvel's Midnight Suns is a new tactical role-playing game where players control a new hero leading a team of 13 other Marvel superheroes to take on a supernatural force led by Lilith, the Mother of Demons. It's got more of a fantasy-esque vibe to it. The game combines turn-based action combat with managing your upgradable base of operations, exploring the hub world, and interacting with the other heroes to make choices and kind of influence how the game goes. But it still has that tactical, turn-based, like grid-based combat, which is a lot of fun. So go check out that game, Marvel's Midnight Suns, coming out on all major consoles. Also this week, the Callisto Protocol is a sci-fi survival horror game set in the future. You take the role of a space freight transporter who is incarcerated on a distant planet in a prison that is overrun by a mysterious disease, and you have to fight your way through the prison, overcome the infection, and escape. It looks really, really creepy. It's made by the people who made Dead Space back in the PlayStation 3 era. So if that is your cup of tea, go check that out. That's the Callisto Protocol on all major consoles as well. And that's what we're looking forward to this week in entertainment.
All right. Thank you for that segment this week in entertainment. But, Mike, your work is not done yet. You have teased the people about seeing Wakanda Forever. So now I will give you the floor. Give us your spoiler-free review. Do not give any spoilers.
No spoilers. We're big MCU fans here on the podcast, so we want to make sure that it's not spoiled for anyone. So, yeah, I got a chance to see Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and, you know, the elephant in the room, Chadwick Boseman, right? How does this movie handle Chadwick Boseman? Without getting into specifics, I think they did it in a very tasteful way. They address it immediately, and they write it into the plot, and you kind of feel that throughout his absence, and I think that's, you know, a smart way of doing it. And I was really worried. I'm just gonna, you know, dispel any fears here about, you know, having a CG the dead guy Chadwick Boseman into the movie. They did not do that.
That's good because that is an option now.
That is an option now, and I'm really happy that they didn't. I was sitting there waiting the whole time, like, all right, it's going to be the CG Chadwick Boseman, but they didn't do it at all. So really appreciated that. The other thing that I appreciate is this franchise's focus on more nuanced villains. And again, without getting into specifics, you know, remember the first movie had a villain where you're like, okay, I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You know, the first movie very much had a Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King Jr. type vibe, right? Or a Professor X and Magneto vibe, where it's like they're both going for the same thing, but just in different ways. And neither character is necessarily a good guy or a bad guy. It's just different views of the same, you know, two sides of the same coin. And this movie is quite similar. You have a villain who, you know, you look at what happened to this person and his, you know, group of people, and you're like, you know, you kind of see their side of things. And you kind of see how, you know, they would end up thinking or acting a certain way given their history. So I really appreciate that focus, and that seems to be, you know, a hallmark of these Black Panther movies, which I really appreciate, that they're not just mustachio-twirling supervillains. Now, on to some of the things that, you know, were not as strong in this film. Back to the first point I made, the elephant in the room, Chadwick Boseman. He really did make Black Panther the first movie. And his absence is felt, you know, big time. And it's both a positive and it's a negative, because there are times in the movie where I'm like, you know, I really like Chadwick Boseman better than the other options that they have going on here. I felt that the movie pulled itself in too many directions at once. There were a lot of, you know, you need multiple plot lines, but the problem with missing your main character is that all these other characters were previously side characters, and so now they're like, okay, all right, who's gonna
elevate?
Who's gonna draw the focus here? Who's gonna step up to the plate? And while some of them did, some of them also, I'm like, I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm seeing what you're doing. Don't really care that much. Some people may disagree, but I think that at times it was a little distracting with all the different ways that it was pulling you. And the runtime at 2 hours, 41 minutes, a very long film.
That's a long movie.
Very long film without a solid, lead that you can really focus in on. And you could tell that they kind of, while they wove it throughout, they did a good job of doing that. You can tell that probably wasn't the original idea. And you kind of get that sense. That being said, still a fun movie. Still had some very powerful moments.
All right, final question.
Yeah.
This is the main question. Is it worth going to see in the theater, or should I just wait till it comes out on Disney Plus?
I think it was really cool. They did some really cool things. The villain, the world, there are a couple of fun little plot twists in there. There's a big post-credit scene that is not world moving in the MCU, but it's a nice little touch.
But do I need to see it in the theater?
I think so.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. Just because of the spectacle of the MCU films, it's better than some of the other ones that have come out. I think it was a very enjoyable ride. So I saw it in theaters. At no point did I think I should have waited for this to come out on Disney Plus. I enjoyed watching it in theaters. I just think that Black Panther set the bar so high. So Black Panther is personally one of my top 10 favorite MCU films. I think that the characters, the nuance, the world was just so perfect in the first Black Panther. So it had a very high mark to match. And it didn't meet that point, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't a good movie. It was still like a solid like mid 7 out of 10 for me. But that's still, that's a good movie. And if you have the extra cash, if you have the extra time, I say go see it in theaters. If you weren't a huge fan of the first one, if you don't have the time or the money, don't make the time or the money. Just wait for it. But if you're remotely interested, go check it out.
All right, so there you go. Mike's spoiler-free review there of Wakanda Forever. And we're going to keep talking Marvel because another of his favorite topics to talk about kind of folds into this into this section as Quentin Tarantino, who's been given some interviews promoting his new book. He had a little discussion where he talked his feelings on Marvel.
Yeah, so we talked about this, I think, a week or two ago, and again, back in the headlines.
He's promoting this book, so that's why he's like everywhere right now.
Yeah, and as Tarantino does, he says things that make you look at him and go, "Oh yeah, that's right, you're a jerk." Like your movies are good, but also you are kind of an ass. And he continues that trend here. He stays true to the character, but he talks recently about the Marvelization of Hollywood and what that's done to quote unquote stars and meaning the actors and actresses. He had this to say, quote, "Part of the Marvelization of Hollywood is you have all these actors who have become famous playing these characters, but they're not movie stars, right? Captain America is the star, or Thor is the star. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. I think that's been said a zillion times. But it's these franchise characters that become a star," end quote. So he's taking issue with the fact that there's no more stars in Hollywood. There's no more leading actors and actresses. There, it's the character that is the star.
I mean, I can see that. I mean,
who's Iron Man?
Well, yeah, but then
is there anybody else?
Who's Batman?
Okay, but focusing specifically on Marvel, is there anybody else that could play Iron Man?
There could be. I mean, the way you phrased it, there could be.
There could be.
I mean, would it be as iconic? Probably not.
What is the first thing that's going to pop into your head if you see, I don't know, Ben Affleck as Iron Man?
Jerk. I don't know. Jerk man. I don't know.
So this is my take on this. I get what he's saying, that the character is the star. But I disagree because I just saw Black Panther, and the only thing I could think of the entire time was, damn, I miss Chadwick Boseman. And when Robert Downey Jr. left his role as Iron Man, there can never be another Iron Man.
I don't know. Don't you think? See, here's the thing. Right now, that seems perfect logic. But, see, I know because one of my favorite franchises, they're going to talk about this.
That's true.
In like another 25 years or so, after like the first generation of Star Wars fans has bit the dust, and you have Generation Charlie, I guess. I don't know, because right now
it's Alpha.
Right now it's Generation Alpha. Then I assume it'll be Beta.
Beta, Charlie, yeah.
When you get to that generation, and I'm an old man, and I'm 80 years old, I guarantee you somebody's going to go back and, you know what? Let's reboot Star Wars. And you know what? At that point, there will be enough time that, you know, the current people that grew up on Star Wars, they'll be dead. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. See, like, you got to be careful. He is kind of Tarantino is actually kind of right on this. You know, they're focusing on the movie studios are focusing on the characters and the franchises and the entities themselves, because that is eternal. That they can keep going to the bank with that. But movies, you know, but the movie stars themselves, you know, they die.
I just have to disagree on this point, because the thing that people always talk about, I'm going to use your example of Batman, is when you talk to the different generations, they say, Michael Keaton's Batman. There's no other Batman for me. And somebody else says, no, I grew up in the Nolan era. You know, whatever his name is, Christian Bale is Batman. There's no other Batman for me. So it's not as easily swappable as you make it, because to somebody at some point, that person became, like Quentin Tarantino is talking about, the character is the star. And I guess, yes, the character is the star, but the people playing them also become stars and become, I think, more like, because who were stars?
I'm sorry, I just cut you off.
Go ahead.
I just kind of had like an epiphany here. So DC kind of took the first swipe at these serious live action movies.
Yeah.
So they've kind of they're a little more long in the tooth, and they've kind of gone through more history with this.
Yeah.
Marvel, this is their first serious rung at it, and they've hit gold and they've hit success. Do you think that maybe it is kind of like a DC versus Marvel kind of thinking? That Marvel is kind of so expansive that they have like thousands of superheroes. They can just go to the well and just find new heroes to go back on. But DC, we have our core guys.
Well, because here's the thing with Marvel. They've been doing this since 2007. So it's not like it's exactly, you know, brand new. They've been at it for...
Well, it is compared to DC.
It is compared to DC.
Yeah.
But what I'll say in response to that is, why go to heroes like Black Panther and Shang-Chi and Doctor Strange, who aren't like, when you think Marvel, what pops in your head? Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Right? Maybe Captain America. Before the movies.
Yeah.
But they're going, who knew Guardians of the Galaxy before?
Who knew Iron
Man? Iron Man to me was like a C-list hero. So, you know, I see them bringing in these heroes because they're basically saying, well, we can't go back and do Iron Man again. We can't go back and do Captain America again. You know, they're kind of doing that with now the new Sam Wilson Captain America. But they made a whole point of, like, this is different. Like,
it's a different name.
See, here's the thing. Because, and this is where I disagree with Quentin Tarantino, because when they do swap out a hero, because we had that happen, right? Like, that's like Sam Wilson, Falcon Hawk guy, is now Captain America, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they made a whole series, I assume, I didn't actually watch it, where that happens, where that takes place, where they ease their viewers into it, where they're like, you know, Chris Evans is the original Captain America, and Sam Wilson struggles to fill his shoes. Like, that was a whole thing, right? So they're honoring the star who held that mantle first. It kind of flies in the face of what Tarantino is saying.
You know what else, too? How about Hulk? Because it
What
was
about
Edward
Hulk?
Norton.
It was, and they swapped him. That's true.
But no, there was no fanfare for that.
Yeah, Hulk is weird because it's not really Marvel. It is, but it isn't. That was like an NBC Universal decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't tell me I don't have some points here.
No, but I think Tarantino, though, I don't think he's wrong either, because I think there is more of a focus on getting the character, because that you can keep going to the bank with it. You know, everybody. I hate to say it, but from the corporate level down, everybody is expendable. It's tough. It's tough to replace people. Don't get me wrong. But again, it's like I hate to critique what you said, but it is like, you know, who could have been Iron Man? I mean, sure, everyone would like it to be Robert Downey Jr., but could? Oh, I'm sure the movie studios could have found somebody else.
You know,
wasn't it Tom Cruise originally at one point?
He was originally right, but what if
just like he needed another franchise?
But if they had gone with Tom Cruise, he would have he would have been the Iron Man, and we wouldn't be able to imagine anybody else as Iron Man. The point that I'm getting at here is that certain actors become so synonymous with these roles that it's hard to imagine other people in them. And I think that's what makes them a star. Because also, again, going back to Robert Downey Jr., he kind of wasn't doing anything. And Iron Man made him a star again.
Yeah, rebooted his career.
Chris Evans wasn't really doing anything. He was a failed flame guy from the Fantastic Four. And then he did Captain America. Then he got Snowpiercer. Then he goes on and directs films. He became a star because of it. Chadwick Boseman became a star because of Black Panther, and like he's like praised now because of that role. So I don't understand what Tarantino's talking about, because are you saying they can be swapped? Sure, yes, I guess they can be swapped. So could have Dirty Harry been swapped? Nobody would have cared or noticed. Anybody could have been swapped at any time. They just didn't do it because they weren't continuing franchises, a lot of those movies from the Golden Age, because he always compares Marvel to the Golden Age, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have what we have now. It's a different way of looking at movies. I'll give them that. They didn't have to worry about that. But to say that they're not stars is kind of ridiculous because they're household names. Like, what does he mean by they're not the star? The character is.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe in terms of like, would people run to go see a movie? Where, you know, kind of back in the old days, if you heard Al Pacino was going to be in a movie, oh, well, then I got to go see it. You know, oh, I heard Tom Cruise is, even 80s and 90s. Oh, Tom Cruise is going to be in this movie. I got to go see it. You know, I don't know if that has the same appeal today.
Okay,
you know?
I can see what you're saying there. If Chris Evans, I got to go see it because Chris Evans is in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think that has the same pull anymore.
I will say, though, that was kind of intentional on Disney and Marvel's part. They took actors and actresses who were not A-list to prevent paying them A-list salaries at the beginning. But then guess what happens? They have to pay them A-list salaries because they're the highest grossing movies of all time. And if there's any metric of what makes someone a star, it's what brings in the most money. And that is exactly what Samuel L. Jackson said, because he spoke out against Tarantino. A longtime Tarantino collaborator, Samuel L. Jackson, said, quote, "It takes an actor to be those particular characters. And the sign of movie stardom has always been what? Asses in seats. What are we talking about? That's not a big controversy for me to know that, apparently. These actors are movie stars. Chadwick Boseman is Black Panther. You can't refute that, and he's a movie star," end quote. So Tarantino is or Samuel L. Jackson's kind of saying, you know, what I'm saying. What's the measure of being a star? What is Tarantino trying to say?
Yeah.
Tarantino's just taking issue with Marvel again.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of old hat by this point.
I mean, yeah, that's also kind of the old school versus the new school. I mean, we've had this in the past with Scorsese and everything like that. So, I mean, it's not anything new to crap over on Marvel. But I don't think Tarantino's completely wrong here. I think he's got some valid points here, and you know, I think it is a different shift nowadays compared to movies in the past. I mean, and Tarantino had another interview where he was saying stuff, you know, like, what is a movie anymore? You know, the art is changing, and
that's true.
I think it's time for people to either adapt or get out, you know, and I think Tarantino might be on the edge of getting out, especially since he said he only wants to do 10 movies. I think that this might be the final bell. That, you know, it's kind of, maybe it is wearing on him. Just, you know what, I'm only going to make one more movie and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he did also say that he doesn't hate the Marvel films, but that there's just too many of them, and he's, you know, almost 60, so they don't really excite him. And that's fine, but, you know, to your point, we do need the old guard to step down at some point so that we can continue evolving the art form, because it is an evolution, and people aren't necessarily going to agree with it, just like people didn't agree with lots of other movements in film. history.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Every time there's a new generation, a new way of doing things, I'm sure that
And look, Tarantino was the young hot thing.
And everybody was like, oh, he's so violent, he's so vulgar.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't sit there and be like, my movies were criticized for one thing and then turn around and, criticize other things. I mean, you have to be cognizant of how art keeps changing, and you either change with it or you step aside.
Right.
It's just the way that it is.
So maybe it's time for Tarantino to step aside.
It might be. And I just want to cap this off with one final point here, because I think that this is important to talk about here. Simu Liu from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings responded to this as well, taking issue, saying kind of what I always like to touch on, that he said, quote, "If the only gatekeepers to movie stardom come from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to lead a 400 million plus movie. I am in awe of their filmmaking genius. They are transcendent auteurs, but they don't get to point their nose up at me or anyone." He also went on to say that Marvel does a good job of promoting and sustaining diversity in film, saying, quote, "I loved the golden age too, but it was white as hell," end quote. So just something to keep in mind about that golden age of film that Scorsese and Tarantino want to go back to, and that, even if he says that these movies aren't making stars, it's giving a lot more people an opportunity to lead roles and stuff like that.
And that's probably a fair critique as well, because, you had actors that got so many roles they would get typecasted into, consistent roles. So, yeah, that's a fair point. But unfortunately with that, we got to jump from the entertainment world and officially end that and go to our third and final segment. Folks, it's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
We've been talking about cool and its ramifications and how it applies to the hip scene. But maybe you could give us some examples now of the opposite of cool, uncool. Just exactly what is uncool?
My nipples look like milk duds.
Holy shnikes.
It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
It's not of this world. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's doing, but this is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing!
How you doing? Me? I'm doing great.
Manda bastata. I don't make this stuff up.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts! That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
I seen the celery dance across the baseball fields.
You had me at Meat Tornado.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Okay. What does that mean?
And now it's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
So sit back, get everything you need to get from the kitchen. Be sure and empty the bladders. Go to the bathroom, because you're in for a hell of a ride.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Yeah, so there you go. Welcome to the non-fortune cookie odd news,
where apparently you lose. That's right. It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news. Here in this segment, Rich researches the news, he reads the news, and I react to the news. He finds a weird and wacky story and keeps it hidden from me, which ensures that I don't know what's about to happen. You guys don't know what's about to happen. Even Rich doesn't know what's about to happen, because these stories always take us down wacky and wild paths. What you got for us? Why are we losing in the odd news?
Yeah, unfortunately, so this is, of course, a Florida story.
Now, who is this guy in Florida?
It's Florida, and they're crazy.
And some poor Florida car owner has lost.
Uh-oh.
Has lost the game completely.
Oh,
this
boy.
is only just a 2-sentence odd news story.
Okay.
But I have a picture to verify, and it's just... You just feel sorry, but it happened in Disney. Damn you, Disney.
Oh, no, not Disney. It's supposed to be the happiest place on earth.
Well, for someone, this is absolutely not.
Oh, no.
Because a Twitter user was reporting back to his car and took a viral photo in which there is a big smashed car and just a random $100 bill put onto the windshield wiper and a big note saying sorry.
Oh my gosh.
That is it.
This cannot be made good. It's shameful. It's a shameful, shameful day.
And of course, since this is on Twitter, here is the smashed car.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is smashed.
Okay, so when he says smash, not like a dent or ding, like the whole front bumper
Yeah.
and grill is like ripped off of it.
Yeah, I would almost feel like whoever did that, they got more damage than that car did because the whole grill is off. The bottom bumper is off.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And the only thing the driver left was $100 and a big sign that said sorry.
Yeah, that's definitely only $100 worth of damage. You just buff that out, right?
Yeah, buff that out. Yeah.
$100?
I'd buy that for $1.
That's what that car is worth after that. I mean, Jesus, the whole front of it's almost ripped off. Oh, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah. So
I'd be so mad.
unfortunately, apparently there's not any surveillance where the car was
really?
located. Yeah.
There's no surveillance? I mean, I guess those parking lots are so big they can't have like 100 million cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
So unfortunately, this man, I don't know. I almost wish that I wish the guy who took the photo could have gotten on like a laptop and set up like a GoFundMe for this poor guy. He probably was a family guy too. He probably was going with his kids, and he comes back and his car is just smashed.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's smashed. That's not even.
Also, what was the other driver doing in this parking lot
to
do that?
That's extensive damage.
That's not like, oh, you accidentally bumped somebody while parking or like grazed against somebody. Like you had like that's
full blown head on, almost a head on collision.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a head on collision or maybe like drove past it and just like ripped it off. I have no idea how that would even happen.
Yeah, in a parking lot. Yeah, how does that?
Yeah.
How fast are you going?
Man, some people out there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So unfortunately, it's just bad luck. I wish whoever took the photo, I wish they would have a GoFundMe set up for the guy. I would donate money to that. That's a shame that this guy went to Disney.
And $100 and just a note that says sorry.
Yeah, $100 and sorry, bye.
He probably fished out whatever he had in his pocket, and that's it. You know.
Oh, now you fucked up. You have fucked up now.
Okay, I'm sorry. If you have the money to go to Disney, you gotta leave your insurance information or more than $100 at least.
Yeah.
$200.
So unfortunately, even though the picture went viral, there was not a good follow up to this story. So unfortunately, even though they said there was an investigator that is on the case.
But I mean, what is there to investigate? There's really nothing to go on.
If they don't have camera footage, I don't know how they're going to be able to find it. Maybe they get lucky. Maybe they get somebody
who, like a witness
who
saw,
or maybe just somebody like going out of the Disney parking lot, being like, "Hey, that guy's car's banged up." You know?
Yeah, maybe they look at like the surveillance at like the exit of the parking lot, and after before a certain time, and I don't know.
I hope that is the case, but. Just bad luck to whoever that owner of that car is. $100 will definitely not do.
No.
That is definitely thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole grill is off. The whole bumper is off.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm never going to go to Disney. Screw that. And it's in Florida. I can't trust Florida. Sorry.
Now, who is this guy in Florida?
It's Florida, and they're crazy.
You will never know the joy of Disney World.
No,
that is a shame.
I think I'm good.
It's very happy there.
Oh boy, well, not for that driver, whoever owned that car. Unfortunately, it's not good for another story here. We have a couple here in our next Florida story.
Now, who is this guy in Florida?
It's Florida, and they're crazy.
So we're double dipping Florida.
Oh yeah, double dip Florida here. And we're going to talk about the case of 42-year-old Brandy Skipper and 50-year-old Johnny Jr. Smith.
I'm 50 years old.
I also love the fact
Johnny Jr.
Smith Jr. By the way, he's 2 Jr. I'm sorry, I messed that up.
Wait, Johnny Jr. Smith Jr.?
Yes, his middle name is Jr. independently, and then he's the second, so that's also Junior.
So if he has a kid, it would be Johnny Jr. Smith Jr. Senior,
the third,
the third Esquire.
Yes. I also like the fact it sounds like John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Like, it's very close.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you're almost
John Jr.
Smith Jr.
Smith Jr.
We need his confirmation name.
Yes.
If you get his confirmation
name is Senior. Johnny Jr. Senior Smith Jr.
Johnny Jr. Senior Smith Jr. His name is everyone's name too.
That is a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Johnny Jr. Senior Smith Jr.
What a name. Well, unfortunately, there really isn't anything, too crazy here other than the fact that the duo was caught trafficking meth. So, why not?
Pretty classic.
You want to cook crystal meth?
I'm the cook.
Yeah. They were tracked by a special investigations division. They were found to be selling illicit narcotics, specifically meth.
Lovely.
They found a safe in which they had 79 grams of meth that was estimated to be around $4,000. Random $3,644 in just money. And then they also found that they had a stockpile of 29 firearms, including 13 short barrel shotguns.
I think those are illegal.
Yeah, that is that's a lot of shotguns there to put in.
It always boggles the mind why they need so many. You should only have one gun at a time.
Yes, as someone who is an expert now on big firearms, now that you've visited Miami and shot machine guns.
You definitely can't dual wield these things like in the video games, and shotguns especially. So really, but even if you try to dual wield them, that's 4 guns max. You're 2 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why do you need 13 of them?
Maybe you're like the Matrix. Maybe you have like an extra 2 because you finish shooting those and you just toss them on the ground, which is a huge waste of guns. And you just pull out 2 new ones. So maybe you get 4 guns each. But how do you get to what was it? 20? It was 20 some guns.
They have 29 firearms.
Total.
13 of them are short barrel shotguns.
That's almost 15 guns a person.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You got to get the Matrix uniform where you can hold all the guns on you.
Yeah, and when you're done shooting, you just drop them and pull out new guns. It's such a waste of guns.
I know, right? This is America. All those guns need a home.
All those guns. I know these poor homeless guns. You're gonna get what's her name? Sarah McLachlan. In the eyes of the angels.
Where will these poor guns go when they are arrested?
For $1 a month, you too can sponsor a homeless abused M16.
Yes, please help out the guns in need.
Yes, so tragic.
Yep. If you're curious about Johnny Jr. Jacob Hyman Smith, whatever his name is, here's their mugshots, and boy, that is just cream of the crop, Florida.
Oh, yeah. He looks like he's about to sell some meth. They look like they've been dipping into their own supply.
Yeah, I think you're not supposed to get high on your own supply. Did you guys not see Scarface?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandy, yeah, she's not looking too good either.
For audio listeners, just picture generic white meth users. I mean, it's literally that's really the only way to describe it. Just picture somebody who's been taking meth.
Yeah. So
why is he so blurry?
He probably was moving around. Probably was cranking it.
That's the thing that bugs me the most is that he's like twitching and can't even get a good mugshot. You can't even do us the dignity, the respect of having a good mugshot here.
Yeah, so
he's a blurry guy.
Yeah, he's a blurry guy.
Imagine a blurry meth user.
He's naturally a blurry guy. But yeah, that's their mugshot.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. A blurry guy.
Well, he's a blurry guy. That's naturally a very blurry.
He's naturally very blurry.
Yeah. So
you can't see me.
Yeah. He thinks he's going to be the next John Cena, but unfortunately, he's going to have to do it in jail. Because unfortunately for both of them, they also have previous histories with meth, so they're going to.
They do.
Yeah, they're going to be in some serious trouble. So unfortunately, they're not going to get out of prison anytime soon. But
damn,
I just love that I love that mugshot and the fact the guy's name was
John Jacob Jingleheimer.
Yeah, it's very close.
I think that should just be his name.
Johnny Jr. Smith Jr.
Johnny Jr. Smith Jr.
What a name. That's his legal name.
That's amazing. I would like to know if he has a confirmation name, what it is.
It should be Senior.
It should be Senior.
You're right. Yeah.
Johnny Jr., Senior, Smith Jr.
Yep. What a name.
Beautiful.
What a man.
what a man. The man, the myth, the legend.
What a Florida man.
Now, who is this guy in Florida?
Well, this guy in Florida is Johnny Jr. Smith Jr. So there you go. Those are the 2 Florida odd news stories I have for you this week. Florida, they had a little lull there for a little bit, but now they're coming back in full force. I feel like so.
They got to meet their end of the year quota.
That's right. We're getting to the end of the year.
They got performance reviews.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know who's running the odd news. They're like, Florida. Yeah,
that's us. We are actually interviewing all the states.
Yeah, they're like, your Q3 numbers were down.
Right. Yeah. What happened there? Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know we had some holidays, but come on, we got to pick up the pace
here. You got to make sure you have coverage over the holidays.
Yeah.
You got to Florida. Come on.
Right. Come on. We can't keep relying on Ohio. I don't know. I don't know who's the second.
Is Ohio the backup Florida?
I don't know. I have to do serious research. What is the second most?
I feel like it
might actually be us. For a little bit there this year, we had a couple of local odd news stories.
Yeah, we've had a long history of odd news stories.
It might be us.
Whoops. Is Pennsylvania the backup Florida?
It might be.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'll wear that badge with pride.
We're going to have to do some research. And look, Norristown has the Swiss cheese pervert, the legendary, once-in-a-lifetime story.
Philadelphia itself is just a perpetual odd news story.
Yeah, so there you go, folks. Our final wrap-up here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. We got to start finishing the show off. If you like what you heard, make sure you do everything you can to support us. Make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media, hubbabaloo. But most importantly, make sure you have a way to subscribe to the weekly podcast, whether it's on YouTube, you hit the subscribe button, whether it's on Facebook Watch, just make sure you're following us on Facebook there for that. Or you subscribe to us on Spotify. You get the video podcast there. But also, if you have Spotify in the background, you can listen to us as an audio-only podcast, even if you're on the go. So you can plug us into your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and you can listen to us as a regular podcast as well. There's a good myriad of ways to enjoy the show.
That's right. So many ways to check out the Crispy Noodle Podcast. But if you need to get in touch with us individually to share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Mike Costanzo, MikeYCostanzo.
And I'm at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on Twitter. Let us know what's happening. If you want us to talk about something on next week's episode, send it our way. If it's odd news, make sure it goes to me so that Mike doesn't see it. And if we do a topic that you send us, we'll give you the sausage shout out. So why not? Send it our way. And yeah, we'll give you some free publicity. Publicity, if I can talk. Man, I'm done. I'm getting to the end of this show. That's
late.
it. Yeah, we're getting late. We're getting to the end. Thank you guys for supporting us. This has been the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. That will do it. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples. Good night.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.